Yes, so good to be back here again. World Bank Kingdom Conversation is back, and it's glad to know that you're joining today. And as you can see, or if you have been observing, the conversation this month has taken on a very rather strategic, point. Because what we are trying to do is to ensure that everyone has something to take, and the theme for the month is reset your life. And just in case you're seeing this for the first time, I encourage you to go see the other editions that we've had talking about this conversation, and even other things that we've had to discuss even before this month. Yes, so welcome. This is the Bridge Network City Church, and here is World Bank Kingdom Conversation. Kayode Sanni is my name, and like I said, the theme for this month is Reset Your Life. And also last week, myself and Pastor AJ, we started off on this note of relationship reset, which we took and of course our context was from a video by the popular Pastor Christy Batue, where she began to speak about the need for relationship reset. And she began to break down all of this points. A woman, the masculine side, the woman side, talking about IVF, sperm bank, adoption, and all of this new developments that we are seeing that is gradually shaping and changing the dynamics of romantic relationships, especially in our world today. And while we had that, which was fantastic, we thought to bring a balance to this conversation also. And that's why today I have the privilege of having such an esteemed guest. I do not take this moment lightly at all to have such an esteemed personality with us today. Please make welcome the one and only Dr. Tunde Adegbola. Good day, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm so honored to have you with me doing this, and thank you for your time. Thank you for sparing time today. And just before we head into the conversation fully, here is the video from which we are speaking, so that we can have a context and you can also be in the know of what we are discussing today.
If you already have what you need, then you don't need relationship. Why are you equating relationship with material things?
What do you have?
So a research needs to happen in how we approach what relationship is, both for the men and the women. So men think that part of their responsibility is, or the major part of their responsibility in a relationship is to provide. However, reality now is that girls are getting everything they need that the man thinks he can provide. So when a man walks into her life, he feels useless. I can't even give her a gift. Everything I can give her is cheaper than what she can get for herself. So the man feels threatened immediately. So we need a reset there. Again, Gen Z is different.
Yeah.
That traditional role of the man as a provider has shifted, because women can't provide. I don't need a man to pay for a house for me now. I don't need a man to buy me clothes. I can do all of that for myself. There is more that a husband is than a provider. Providing is one of the mundane aspects of being a husband in this day and time. So that scripture that says if a man is unable to provide for his family, he's worse than an infidel. And don't reduce it to food, clothing, and shelter. No, there's emotional security, spiritual leadership, dependability, fidelity, chivalry. Pastor was saying yesterday that if a lady is coming up the stage, somebody should be there to help her out. So if God has helped you to provide, then what you are looking for, what you need, is a man who will provide. What you can't get yourself pregnant. The man can provide sperm. But hello, unless you don't want to have a child, or you want to do things outside of God's will by going to some sperm bank and collecting donated sperm. Let me speak to ladies about that in a moment, please. That's a very critical area for me as a believer and as a preacher of the gospel. If a couple is married and struggling to have children, they've waited 5 years, 10 years, and there is opportunity for IVF, fantastic. God gave doctors the wisdom to be able to give those people a chance to be parents. If the woman's body is unable to carry a baby and they say, oh, let's do surrogacy. Amen. Surrogacy has been there from the Bible. That's what Sarah was referring to when she said to Abraham, let her have children on my behalf. When Leah and Rachel gave their slaves to Jacob, let her have children on my behalf. Rachel started it because she couldn't have a baby. So surrogacy is okay because it's still the man and his wife in agreement. Going for a baby. But for a single lady to get up and say, my time is passing, there's no husband, I cannot die alone, to go to a sperm bank and collect donated sperm and invest yourself. Incubate a baby and give birth alone. I think it's one of the most selfish things a person can do. And I'll tell you why.
Why?
She's thinking of herself alone. I run a rehab center, sir. One of the greatest reasons young people are struggling with drug issues is identity issues. Even within their families, they don't feel they belong. So drugs become a coping mechanism. Now, second, have you seen the way African Americans from America are paying thousands of dollars to trace their ancestry?
That's correct.
And when they find out that they are connected to any country, if you see celebration, why? There are basic human needs, and one of them is the need to belong.
Identity.
When they're able to find out that they are from Ghana, do you know how many people are relocating to Ghana now?
Ghana, yeah, that's true.
Naturalized, collecting Ghanaian passport over the American passport to settle in Africa. This is where I'm from. I belong here. I feel like I'm connected here. I feel connected to the earth. In fact, some of them are going to extremes now and doing rituals of naturalization in what do you call it? Shrines. They are trying to connect so hard, they are going to another extreme. The need to belong is very, very critical. Now, a child grows up and says to the mother, who is my dad? The mother can say, I was raped. I don't know who your father is, but when I found out I was pregnant, I didn't want to abort you. The child will deal with that. Another one may say, oh, your father rejected the pregnancy, but this is his name. This is where he comes from. You know, I got a call from somebody 2 days ago. She said, I got your number from so and so. She said, I turned 70. I don't know who my father was. My mother was so angry at whoever my father was because he denied the pregnancy. And she never told me until I was in my 50s. She just mentioned the name of the person she got pregnant for, the surname. She didn't mention the first name. And I was just watching online, and a video of you just came up, and I started watching. Ma, you have the same surname as the name my mother mentioned. And for me, I don't care whether it's the same family or not, I have found a sister. She said, I'm going to relate to you as the only sibling I have. She said, my mother's brothers and sisters all have children. They are cousins. They can point to 3 generations, 3 people farther away from them as relatives. I don't have any. She said, ma, I know that Bature is big, but my mother told me that the Bature that she got pregnant for was from Southern Kaduna. So I don't care if it's the same Bature or not. You are my sister. There are many Batures in Southern Kaduna that I'm not related to. But she said to me, I don't care. For me, I found a sister. So, you see, at 70, there's still that gaping need in her soul to connect. Then you intentionally do that to a child because you are thinking of yourself. Who told you that a mother is only the one that gives birth through her canal? If that's what a mother is, what do we call the ones that give birth and throw in dustbin? Or dump at the orphanage and walk away? No, a mother is the one who stays until a child becomes. That's mother. And you don't have to have given birth to the child through your canal.
In another way, are you of the opinion that a lady that no husband, age, like they say, it's as a disadvantage instead of doing that? What of a situation of adoption?
Adoption. Oh, that's fantastic. You have so much love to give.
Yeah.
The orphan is in so much need of love.
Correct.
You are solving 2 problems at the same time. Go and adopt. Adoption, fantastic. It's also a good thing because then we'll have less orphans. Yeah. We have less abandoned children. Adopt. Because you can still tell the child, I adopted you. Nobody wanted you, but I wanted you. That child will feel that they belong with you. You know, so.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Man. Such quite a powerful one there. And you can see that she layered up different stages and different things. But I think a good place to start, doctor, is to let's get your perspective. Thankfully, you've lived longer than some of us are. If you were to compare relationships back then into what we have now, what would be your submission?
Well, fundamentally, there's a whole lot of change in society. There's change in the way society is organized. Traditionally, the main source of income, the resource by which families obtain value was physical strength. So the male that is certainly physically stronger than the female generally had the upper hand. I mean, there's no argument about it. The world record in 100 meters is shorter than the world record for male. Is shorter 100 meters for women. Same for 200 meters, same for 400 meters, and on like that. In every endeavor that involves physical strength, the male gender had proved to be superior to the female gender. And in society where that physical strength determines who has the better access to wealth and well-being, so easily the male had the upper hand. And these are conditions and circumstances that bred the world in which the man is the breadwinner, the man is the head of the family, the man is... So all these give these privileges to the male gender. But we have now transited into a society where rather than working hard, we are having to work smart. And unlike the situation in physical exertion, where the man is superior to the woman, in cerebral exertion, in things that have to do with the brain, with the mind, you cannot say that the male is superior to the female. And you cannot say the female is superior to the male. There are slight areas of specialization probably in emotional prowess, in memory, in analytical capacity, in various aspects of cognitive strength. There could be slight differentiations, but generally, the man is not superior to the woman, and the woman is not superior to the man. So having come from an age where there's natural advantage for the male to one in which that natural advantage is no more, because now the female can aspire to as high a position as they want. So some of the values that females depended on males for are not necessarily the way things were. Now a woman can get for herself what a male would have got her. There was time in which a building is not held in the name of a woman. In certain societies, there was a need for a drastic change for a woman to be able to say, I own this property. But beyond that now, it is even becoming equalized, and in certain situations, because of the way society is organized, some women even have it easier acquiring such facilities. So there is a need for us to understand this transition in society and readjust our expectations and readjust basis of relationships.
Adjust basis of relationship. I really love that. But again, just to develop from what you said now, and owing from your experience with theology and science and all of that, when we look through the scriptures, when we look through the Bible, when we look through biology, when we look at science, what do you think it tells us about, what do you think it is telling us, or this element or concept are telling us about the role of men and women in a society?
The way I look at it is that roles of men and women in society are subjects for continual negotiation. As society changes, there is a need to reassess and realign, because if in a society where the man easily has the upper hand in the sense that he is the one that has all the muscles to make ridges, plant yams, do all that, with the woman supporting, of course, and now is able to accumulate wealth that way. Because he had that advantage of physical, to be able to exert himself physically, then he naturally has an upper hand, and the woman is just too comfortable, happy to be subservient and take advantage of that physical strength, that superior physical strength. But with this change that I described, then there is a need to reorganize society. There's a need to rethink, because when things start happening, when this kind of development starts affecting society, the average female brought up by a mother who was comfortable with that arrangement may have acquired some of her mother's tendencies, her mother's traits. But by the time you have 2, 3, 4 generations after that, the change will become more and more glaring. By the time that a female born to a very, very strong woman who supported her husband very, very openly in raising her children, that daughter will be more inclined to accepting her role as somebody who is going to contribute to a large extent to a family when she gets married. And that way, the traditionally established arrangements in which the man is always at the top of the pyramid will start reducing, because now more and more women are taking responsibility for themselves and for their families. It will now get to a point where some children may not even know that there was a time in history where the male was playing these roles.
Amazing. Let's now take it a step further. Thankfully, you've helped us to establish what was back in the days where by physical structure, the men had upper hand. But taking it back now and taking a cue from the video we watched, there's this thing about this problem with finance, right? And it seems to have taken the center stage when it comes to relationship nowadays, because that was even from the first context she was speaking from, that when a woman can provide financially for herself, and in a marriage situation where it's expected or culturally sort of that it's the man who is meant to be the financial head. But my question is that it's looking as though that financial provision seems to be the only expectation that we have in our relationships, even beyond romantic relationship, or even beyond a relationship between the husband and the wife. Why do you think that is so?
No. See, the situation is a lot more complex. We can't afford to oversimplify this. The relationship between a man and a woman, particularly in the setting of a family, is fundamentally complementary. And it is easily noticeable in the natural propensities of men and women. Women tend to like men who are masculine. Men tend to like women that have reproductive prowess. Men don't know why they are obsessed with breasts. It is because they want healthy children. Wow. Men don't know why they put a lot of emphasis on a woman having a narrow waist and broad hips. It is because they would want to have a woman that has space in her cervix to carry a child. Wow. It's all natural propensity.
Wow.
To the extent that women unconsciously know it. So when a woman is sitting in the house and she wants to go out, she impulsively wears a belt. It is to accentuate her cervix, to accentuate, it is to form that Coke bottle shape, which is what men desire in women. Whereas women desire in men muscular, strong, tall, towering, because what the man demands, requires from the woman is the capacity to breed healthy next generation. Wow. What the woman is looking for in the man is somebody who is able to protect her when she becomes vulnerable due to these her reproductive roles. For 9 months, she's feeding for more than one person.
Yes.
And she's having a lot of hormonal disturbances, hormonal confusion. She's trying to, at that time, she doesn't want to worry about safety. She wants to be comfortable because she knows my man is there. He will take care of it. So even in these times where the emphasis is shifting from physical strength to cerebral strength, the vestiges of the way we have grown are still there, and they still affect the way we look at life. So we cannot switch it on, or a level of emotional need that a woman has that only the female can meet. And there are levels of emotional needs that the male have that only the woman can meet. So all these are there, and it is as though God in his infinite mercies designed it for the male and the female to agree together to be able to produce the next generation. A woman cannot do it on her own. A man cannot do it on his own. So there is that need to come together. There's that need to learn to live together. There's that need to learn to respect each other to the extent that they'll be able to do things that need to be done for them to produce the next generation. So it is not easy to just oversimplify these things. We have grown through generations realizing that need for togetherness. We cannot just switch it off and say now that the woman can be independent, she can go on her own. Like I said earlier on, it has to be negotiated over generations. It's not a light switch.
Wow. You know what you just said now sort of answered the next couple of questions I was about to ask, because I was going to even ask that because of this finance capability taking place, it's as though now that men can make money, women can make money, it's as though the essence of relationships is lost. And that's where I want to ask now that both people can, and thankfully you sort of answer that in a way, but just to be able to put it exactly, that now that men and women can make money, especially when it comes to a man and his wife, what then is the essence of relationships? Thankfully you said that it's complementary. that there's a sort of at a certain level, a woman needs a depth of emotional support at that point. But at the core of it, especially now that money seems to have taken center stage, what then is the essence of relationships, especially when it comes to a man and his wife?
See, a relationship is a human necessity. The human is a social animal. There are animals that walk away from their mothers the moment they are born.
Yeah.
Immediately, even there are animals that kill their mothers to get born. Snakes, for example, some snakes bite out of their mothers. They bite through the bodies of the mother, and the mother dies for them to live. But with human beings, my 30-year-old children still depend on me. So unlike a snake that gets hatched and just walks away, the human being takes care of their offspring in excess of 20 years. Sometimes even with the way society is now organized, up to about 30 years. So that tells us that relationship is a fundamental need for human beings. The word for heal in Yoruba is wo. Wo. Iwo son. Keep an eye on the person until they become healed. Wow. And it is born out of the knowledge that you cannot afford to abandon somebody who is at a weak point. You have to help. You have to stand by them. You have to uphold them until the natural processes, helped by some of the other medicinal processes that God has blessed us with, brings them back to where they're supposed to be. So there's no way we can wish away the power, the importance of relationships. Dealing with one another in such a way that one helps the other. We live in society. We start from families. Families grow into societies. Families go into communities. Communities go into society. Society go into nations. Nations go into mankind. And all of it has to do with relationships. Sometimes we maybe demonstrate some bestial instincts of I better than you against you, but
bestial.
but ultimately our good is achieved by relationships. So we cannot wish away relationship. We look, all this, every word that starts with a com or has a com in it, it's about relationships, community, communism, communion, communication. All this it is because it is to foreground the importance of relationships.
So I think the next question will then be that what now caused these separation? What caused let me call it the perversion of the essence of relationships? Because from what you said now, I'm thinking through everything that happened even in the Bible. Everything was to bring together people, and we saw in essence how these things worked. But what do you think we missed it, especially in this modern world where we are tending towards this me, myself, and I, my family and I. It is me. There's this joke we crack around relationships. I mean, romantic relationship. The lady will say, my money is my money, but your money is our money. That kind of mentality, where do you think we lost it?
You see, fundamentally in communion, there is difference. The basis of communion is the reality of difference. A person cannot commune with himself. The fact that you are different from me is why there is basis for communion. Part of the value in communion is what I may not have, you may have. So we synergize. Now, that difference may sometimes be misunderstood. And particularly in
she then goes on to do other things via scientific measures or other measures, and of course Pastor Christy Battery spoke about it, where she was talking about the fact that even as a woman, you still, even if you have your money, you still need the man to provide sperm, for example. But in all of this, how can a man find his identity at this stage of the world when it comes to relationships? How do you think a man is meant to find his place, find his identity, especially in a situation where the woman may be the breadwinner? How do we teach men to come to a full understanding of their identity, of their role in this system and in this current times that we live in?
You see, first and foremost, there is a need for the male to accept the responsibility, the God-given responsibility of taking care of a family, regardless of his relative capacity to do it as against the woman. Where the whole problem starts from is from a marriage of incompatibles. When two people decide to come together in a relationship, it is because they have found something in the other that they need. The man has found in the woman something that he needs. The woman has found in the man something that she needs. That must be clearly understood and must be properly cultivated. And this should therefore bring about an understanding of the kind of family they want to raise and what kind of standards they want to live by. If a woman feels that she wants to live a particular standard of life, and the man she is being in a relationship with cannot produce that standard, there already is a kind of mismatch and a potential for conflicts. These sort of things need to be addressed. Now, particularly for men, there is a need for more deliberate breeding of men. I have the privilege of dealing with very many young people, particularly females, and there is a preponderance of complaints that the men are not living up to expectation. Some men are even taking undue advantage of the fact that women are able to bring something to the table. And they are using that as an excuse for not taking their responsibility. And I don't think society is addressing that sufficiently yet. Fathers are bringing up their boys as though there's no problem. There is a need for fathers to deliberately bring up their boys to be responsible and to be able to have enough personal dignity to be able to deal with a situation where there seem to be inadequacies. Because once a person can't handle that, the relationship is going to break down. It is important for men to come into marriage with a high sense of responsibility, putting your best to provide for the family what the family deserves, and whatever else the woman brings is just something to lift them to a higher level of standard of living.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that, sir. I think the next question will now be to say, for a man, what should a man look for now in these current times that we live in now? What should a man look for in a woman? And from your own experience as a father, as a husband, what do you think a woman should look out for? Or what are the things a woman should look out for in a man?
Complementarity. A woman that is potentially high-flying should be sufficiently conscious of the fact of her need to adjust if her husband is not able to measure up to her perceived, and I say perceived with deliberately, perceived standard of living. Because a woman can say, oh, I can't even live at this level. If you can't live at that level, don't marry a man at that level. Let the man marry somebody who can live at that level. And a man too should not look at a woman as the source of his livelihood because she's
high-flying.
There's compatibility. Go for somebody, look out for somebody whose with whom your relationship will not be contentious. Because once there's that mismatch, there'll be constant contention in the relationship. It is important.
Let's now get into controversial space now. Let's talk about sperm bank, right? Let's have your thoughts on having children through sperm donation without the presence of a father. What are your thoughts, and what do you think will be the long run impact?
Every change in society has to be dealt with carefully, because where we are today, we didn't get there yesterday.
Yeah,
we come from very, very far. We have developed habits, we have developed attitudes, we have developed even muscle memory, things that we do without thinking.
Yeah,
things that our bodies do without necessarily the engagement of our brains. So all these have defined us and have helped to define our society. Science will always show new possibilities. Every new possibility should be looked at with great sense of responsibility. Every new possibility should be controlled, adoption of new development should be curtailed, should be taken with measured steps. Because traditionally, the way conception gets done, for reasons of improved science, we have at different times used science to help the natural process. And as science improves, there will be better capacity to help the natural process. We cannot, however, use science to disregard certain elements of natural processes. It will always have repercussions. If we decide that yes, we can now do it, we can build a society where women go and buy sperm and men go and buy incubator. So who brings up the children?
Yeah.
Children are designed to grow within families. If there are situations that prevent that do not make it possible for children to grow up in a family, it would be normally an exception. And the larger, the more general, the more common way of bringing up family will make up for the existence of such exceptions. But when we now turn the exception to the rule, then we are going to breed a society that we will not be able to fully account for the kind of behaviors we have. God has provided us a template of society, and that is the way we have been living. If for problems of infertility, problems of some difficulty or the other, we have enough science to be able to help people who cannot have children naturally to have children, we should not abuse such processes and now use that to disorganize or fragment society to the extent that we will now breed children that have never known a mother in their lives, children that have never known a father in their lives, because you can now make some funny mixture that you can put in a feeding bottle, and a child that has never suckled. Definitely there'll be behavioral manifestations from a child that never suckled. The love, the warmth, the tenderness of being held close to a body for a number of years in your life, there's no way it will not affect you. Haven't you noticed that Africans have a way with dancing? It is not unconnected with the fact that they grew on mothers' backs dancing. The mothers were building rhythm into them. So that's to tell you that some of these things we overlook. They are important. And we need, whenever there is change in society, we must follow the change sufficiently studiously to be able to find out what are the what are the dimensions of our living that this change will affect radically.
Just lastly, and thankfully you've helped us to talk about the impact of those kind of measures, and also thankfully for balancing the fact that science has brought about new possibilities, but it has to be taken with a sense of responsibility, which brings me to this last point of identity now, because these measures have somewhat began to cause identity problems. It's one thing to learn of slave trade, where children or people were taken away from their families, but it's now another thing to learn about scientific measures that people are taking to bear children that has created problems of identity for certain people, where they get to a point where they begin to ask questions about their origins. I imagine a child being born out of sperm insemination. I think they call it insemination or something like that. You know, a woman receiving sperm into her body. A child grows wanting to know the father, the mother, or something like that. How do we bring a balance, and how do we help people find identity in this era where it has also become a problem? I think even beyond sperm bank, also there's also the problem of baby mamas and baby daddies, where a man has 3 to 3 women he is not married to but has children for, where a woman has 1 or 2 men that she is not married to that have children, right? So how do we help solve the problem of identity as a result of these changes that we have in society?
The first thing is to accept these situations as aberration. They are aberrant. That is not the way our God created this world. But even when I talk scientifically, I'm talking, just spoke as a Christian. Now let me speak as just a human being who is a scientist. These things are established. They are the way society has got to where it is today. And there is no body, no matter, no piece of material in this world that can achieve instantaneous change. It is not possible. The notion of inertia and momentum dictates that every change must be measured and followed to the extent that you are able to adjust as the change is coming. And that is why revolutions are very dangerous. They say the revolution is a change of high intensity and fast pace. And when you find yourself in that kind of situation, it is not when the revolution is happening that you decide, okay, this is what I will do. Because it happens so fast, you are not in charge. If we do not measure the way we respond to change, we will lose total control and we will cease to be communities. We'll just be collection of animals rather than humans.
Doctor, I want to say thank you for this session. I will say that even myself, I'm blown by your submissions, and I'm really hoping that it can help someone find solution. It can help someone find redemption. This is not to condemn anybody. This is not to say that whatever you may have done or whatever is wrong. We're just trying to put things in perspective. We're just trying to put a reset to things and to see and to balance things and to put things in perspective. And Doctor has really done well in helping us to see things clearly from all the different angles possible, even though I still have quite a number of questions to ask, but we have to call it a wrap for today. Doctor, I want to say thank you. I'm honored to have you here. I'm honored that you could have spent your time here, to spare time to be here. Thank you very much for doing this. And on that note, we call it a wrap for World Bank Kingdom Conversation for this week. Do ensure to join us next week, and don't forget that on Saturday, of course, our leadership meeting by 7 a.m. and then we have we'll resume on Sunday again for our Real Success Seminar by 8 a.m. and 9:30 a.m. also for the network service. However, we have a special service coming up on this Sunday, which is the 26th of April. We're going to be having Pastor and Mrs. Smith with us, and we're going to be learning about divine order in marriage. And as you can see, everything is tilting towards a reordering, a resetting, putting things in perspective, putting things in their right order. And I'm sure that please don't miss it. It's going to be awesome. Don't miss it. It's going to be great. I especially invite you to that. Also, don't forget also that here at the new streams, we have the new streams hub. If you're looking to walk away from home, we have facilities here. Right here also is our studio. If you need a studio to get to host your podcast and everything, trust me, we have a setup here that will cater to your needs. But on this note, we have to go again. Kayode Sanni is my name, and until I see you next time, God bless you. See you later.